Hey guys, Ryan here, and I am back. I know it's been a while since I recorded one of these episodes. It's just been crazy. You guys can kind of tell I'm starting to attempt to move into my new studio space type thingy, so hopefully the studio space will come a little bit more together. As you guys can kind of see, I kind of threw this together last minute because I wanted to, because I've been working in and out of areas, so... Yeah, we're back, and we just had a big announcement yesterday, which was the All-Star Race format announcement. So we'll be talking about that in this video, as well as a new team coming to Cup in 2020, as well as a few other things that we've missed out on. So welcome to this episode of Running with the Pack. Okay, so here we go. So first off, a new Cup Series race team coming in 2022 to make their first full-time series start, or at least attempted full-time series start. We don't have an announcement of if or where they're gonna get a charter from, but Colleague Racing, they've been a 2 to 3 car team in Xfinity for the last 2 to 3 years. Prior to that, they were a 1 to 2 car team down there for a long time, and they've started to have a lot of success recently. And now they're taking that success and going Cup racing in 2022. Driver is still TBA, and as I mentioned earlier, we don't know exactly where a charter may come from. Whether they're going to get a Rick Ware charter, whether they're going to try and get one of Spire's 2 charters. Because, again, a lot of these teams have kind of said that, hey, we want to be full-time and, we want to be full-time and we want to be competitive. And, obviously, in Cup, that's a very hard thing to do. So, in terms of drivers, I think you'd be fairly unplanned to not go with Kaz Gralla. For those of you guys who don't know, Kaz Gralla, he actually has done 2 starts for Colleague Racing in Cup already this year. At the Daytona Road Course, I believe. I believe he ran the road course for them, and I know he ran this most recent race at Talladega, scoring a top 5 there. He also scored a he ran the Daytona 500 for them. Yeah, so he ran the Daytona 500, and so he's essentially run the 2 plate races so far this year for Colleague Racing in their number 16 Cup entry, and he also ran the Daytona Road Course last year for RCR when Austin Dillon had his COVID when he got his COVID test positive. He obviously had to take the week off from racing, and to be honest, he's done spectacular. I think he finished 5th in that race, and then of course in the he finished 6th last week. I just went and looked. He finished 6th last week at Talladega, and let's see, Daytona for the 500. I know he qualified in, which was impressive, but where did he finish? I'm trying to remember, because big last lap wreck kind of caught a lot of people off guard. Okay, so yeah, it looks like he got collected in a wreck, but a wreck in his first super speedway race for a new team. Not too surprising, but still 2 top 10s in 3 starts for honestly subpar equipment. I mean, RCR last year was not top 5 equipment, and even on Austin Dillon's car, and he was definitely not, and I would not say Colleagues' cars yet are top 5 material, but he got 6th place at Talladega, and again, was running good at Daytona up until, I'm sure he ended up with being involved in one of those wrecks if he finished as far down as 28th. But he's showing good improvement. That would probably be my first choice for the seat, if for some reason he feels like he is unready, or if Colleague determines that he is not ready yet for full-time Cup racing. They could move Justin Haley or AJ Allmendinger up from their Xfinity program up into Cup. Allmendinger would bring a lot of Cup Series experience, especially on road courses. Justin Haley brings a ton of Xfinity Series experience, as well as almost a full season now of Cup. He's in the 77 almost every week now. Now that he's not having to share time with Chastain in the number 77 car. So that would be another two drivers I'd look at. Now, here would be my ideal situation if I'm running Kaulig Racing and I'm looking at the fact that I'm just going to assume that for this season they might struggle to find a charter. So let's say they don't find a charter. I would put Justin Haley in there for all the super speedway races, all four of them, assuming that the schedule is somewhat similar to how it is this year. So the 2 Daytona and the 2 Talladega races, put Justin Haley in. For a lot of the short tracks, I would maybe look to AJ Allmendinger, as that's been some of his better runs have come there. And then put Kaz Gralla in at a lot of the split the road course between Gralla and Allmendinger, and for the 1.5 miles, I'd say put Gralla in there because you're going to try and groom him for your long-term success, unless, again, Justin Haley absolutely starts completely outshining his teammates at Kaulig Racing. Right now, he appears to be kind of right in the middle, not necessarily leaps and bounds above his teammates. Let's see where they are in points anyway. But yeah, so AJ Allmendinger, though, would bring a lot of veteran experience, help get them cup setups, and would also bring a potential adaptability to it, because they won't be so new to all the cup competition, at least, which would help make the ease into the next gen era a little easier. Not to mention, he's also driven sports cars a lot, and that's the one thing that a lot of the NASCAR drivers have been comparing these cars to is GTD or GTD cars, which is what Allmendinger has raced at the Rolex 24 for the last 4 years in a row. So lots of experience there. So yeah, he is right in the middle. Haley is right in between Jeb and Allmendinger, and obviously Jeb coming off that win at Talladega, can't deny that maybe they give him a shot, though I think he needs another year or two in Xfinity before he's ready for full-time Cup. But yeah, so that would be my personal preference on how I would deal with this situation. I would look to add guys like Allmendinger would be a very good choice, again, depending on what you're looking for. Though I think the split idea, to essentially test the waters, see how Haley is with the, maybe even split the 1.5 miles between Haley and Gralla, and just kind of see who ends up showing a proficiency at the Cup level first. Put them in your first car, and then if you expand to a second car later on, you can bring the other driver up. Because Allmendinger isn't, I don't see Allmendinger going to Cup and staying there long term, especially if Kaulig takes a while to get going competitively. I mean, I don't see Allmendinger. Honestly, it's hard to really tell when he may. The question mark is already up there of retirement, because he's kind of hitting that age where he's hitting 40, and a lot of Cup drivers recently have been hit 40, retire. Now, I'm not saying I think Allmendinger is going to follow that trend and retire, but certainly is something to look at and potentially see as a trend. So don't necessarily rely on Allmendinger as your only avenue for a Cup driver, though he will be good for helping get setups in. But that was only one of our topics that we had to talk about, and yeah, the All-Star Race format. Oh boy, this is a headache and a half. So, try and follow along with me. So, the race format, the starting lineup will be via random draw. I would assume the random draw format will be similar to how it was for the first half of 2020, where during the pandemic, where essentially drivers were picking a name out of a hat, but they were somewhat grouped by points. I think they'll because it's the All-Star race, it'll be a full-on random draw. So everybody will pick a name out of a hat, or a number out of a hat, and that's where they'll start for the race. Then they'll run 15 laps. I believe that that only green flag laps will count, so they'll run 15 green flag laps. And then after that round, the field will be inverted randomly up to 12 spots. So anywhere between 8 to 12 spots will be inverted. So somewhere in that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 range will end up being your pole sitter for the next segment. And that's just the first segment. So here we go. Second segment. Another 15 lap run, and this time the entire field will go back to front. So whoever was the last car at the end of that second 15 lap run, they will end up being your pole sitter for the start of segment 3. Segment 3, another 15 lap run, and you go back to what we saw at it's essentially a repeat of stage 1, where it's 15 green flag laps, and then the field will be inverted anywhere from 8 to 12 spots through. And then that'll start us off with round 4 of this. So anybody kept up? This is going to be our 60th lap we're going to turn. We'll be in round 4, or stage 4 here, and it's just a straight up 15 lap duel, no invert this time. Where you finish is where you start for the next segment, barring pit stops. I believe it'll be competitive pit stops. So yeah, then the lineup. Oh wait, no. So yeah, the line. I forgot. Here we go. Round 5. After your 15 laps there. See, this is how confusing it is. I can't even go through step by step and not get myself confused. So yeah, so after your first 4 rounds, or 4 stages, your average finishing position in the 4 stages will be added up to determine where you start in stage 5. So stage 5, we go and all cars will have to enter at some point during the 30-lap green flag run for a mandatory 4-tire pit stop, in which there will be a pit stop competition. Fastest pit crew, probably going to go to Denny Hamlin's crew, will get a $100,000 bonus for being the fastest 4-tire pit crew on pit road. And then the results from that will carry over to stage 6, which will be a 10-lap green flag run like we usually see at the All-Star race, to determine the winner of the $1 million. Oh, okay. So, anyone, hopefully you guys are taking notes, because there will be a quiz later. I'm kidding. But, yeah, I think just the amount of complexity, and literally the fact that I got tripped up trying to read through it, and trying to speed read through it, the fact that I got tripped up, I think just says something about this format. And I go back to it. I think, now, I've seen a lot of people saying, just throw the green flag, set a distance, throw the checkered flag on the final lap, and have that be the race. Normally, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that for like the full season. For an All-Star race, I feel like it does need to be a little special. Now, granted, that's different from how they do it the rest of the year. But I don't mind the 4-segment stuff that they usually do, especially like looking to Charlotte, because that's same length, same shape as Texas Motor Speedway, where the All-Star race will be held this year. And I usually point to, when people ask me about qualifying or about All-Star race formats, I usually point to the 2017 format as one I really liked, where it was essentially 3. I think it was like 3 30-lap. It was like 3 20-ish lap runs. So you'd have 20 laps, 20 laps, and 20 laps. 3 segments. No real inversion. And you had that green option tire, essentially a softer compound tire to help with lap time at the expense of durability. But in a 20-lap run, you weren't worrying about durability. And then your average finishing position from those 3 segments making up your starting spot in the final 10-lap segment and having to have a good enough average running position to actually make the final 10-lap dash, because only 10 drivers made it that year. I personally like that format a lot, and obviously a little bit biased because Kyle Busch did win that year. But I like it when it's got a layer of complexity to it, but for the most part, if you're running up front and running fast laps, you're going to be rewarded from it. And sure, I don't mind an invert. Like if you want to invert the field once or like in between, like say the second and third segment, I don't mind that. Like make the faster cars come from the back. That sounds like a fun idea to try out. But why do we invert the field? What is it? 3 or 4 times? And then we have to do the math to add up the average finishing position of each of them? I mean, it just sounds like it's way more complex than it actually needs to be to put on a good show. I mean, I get it. Texas hasn't put on a good show in the last several years, outside of like the 2-lap run at the end of the 2020 race. But yeah, so I think that definitely just the fact that there's 6 rounds in general, like the All-Star race does not need to be 150 miles, 100 laps, especially if you're going to have a situation where it's 15 laps, caution, 15 laps, yellow, 15 laps, yellow. It's just not gonna. I really am afraid to see how this goes. I mean, I'm not completely shooting down this type of format. I'm just putting out that I think it is way more complex than it absolutely needs to be, and I don't really see a point to it being this complex. Hopefully someone in the comment section of this video or of some other video on this topic can maybe explain to me why, but I mean, I could even understand if they did the format that they've been doing so far this year. So like your score, like your fastest lap points position and where you finish in the previous race. If you did that and just invert that, maybe would be an interesting way to do a starting grid if you really want to put the fast guys at the back. So you put guys like Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, who have been very fast this year. Move all of them to the back of the grid and have to come from the rear in the All-Star race. That could be interesting at least, but I don't know. This format just seems like it's going to be way more complex than it needs to be, and is almost, I'd say, going to feel like a NASCAR Heat 5 league race to an extent, where it's overly gimmicked up to try and make it entertaining. Not saying all NASCAR Heat 5 leagues, I'm just saying that it's going to feel like that, because a lot of the leagues I run, it's no more than like 15, 20 laps, green flag, yellow. At least sometimes. But yeah, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I don't think we've missed anything else outside like Talladega review and Richmond review and whatnot, but yeah, ultimately I've just been really busy and I finally got some time to sit down and record a video for you guys, so hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you guys are new so you guys never miss another episode. But I think that's everything, so hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next video, live stream, or whatever you guys had to do for the rest of your day. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye!